So we're going to talk sports in just a few moments. NFL, Minnesota Vikings, Dalvin Cook is out for the year. The season is grim looking so far, especially with Sam Bradford being out. Probably again next week, but we'll just have to see. Also going to talk NBA. The new All-Star format for the NBA All-Star games has been changed. We'll talk about that in just a second. And my early predictions for the NBA awards. We'll talk about that in the next segment. We'll talk a lot of sports. But first, at this point, and I try to avoid, not necessarily avoid, I guess I use this platform, I guess, if you will. It's not a big platform. I mean, been doing this for a year. My YouTube following is okay after a year. I mean, 100 subscribers or so. And then Facebook, 1,100 subscribers. I mean, it's doing okay and all that good stuff. So it's not a big platform. But I use this hobby, if you will, to be able to, I guess, escape what's going on in the world. But also sometimes, you got to address some things, especially if it crosses into sports, especially with the protests during the national anthem. I've talked about that a couple of occasions. But at this point, we all know by now what happened in Vegas. And on Sunday night, the reports first came out. So I use Twitter a lot. I know Twitter is probably the third best social media app, or third most used social media app behind Instagram and Facebook. But I use Twitter a lot for the news and everything like that, just to get the main point, the gist of what's going on. I don't really like to watch the news in general, just because it's just horrible stuff. But at least with Twitter, I can get directly what's going on. And so Sunday night, I saw that there were 2 deaths. There was at least 2 deaths on Sunday night before I went to bed, and the shootings in Vegas, and I believe it was two confirmed kills and 20 or so wounded at that point. I said, first of all, I wasn't surprised, because, I mean, at this point in time, we're so used to these things happening, these tragedies happening time and time again, and which is really sad. I mean, I wish something would be done about it. I don't know, can anything be done about it? I mean, we'll just have to see. But it was at least 2 confirmed kills and 20 wounded at that point before I went to bed, and I said, man, that's tragic. That's horrible. Especially, I go to Vegas about once or twice a year. I mean, I go to Vegas a lot. I love Vegas. I love being there. And the weird thing about Vegas is, for the open alcohol policies they have there, and they say Sin City and all that stuff, Vegas was one of those places that felt very safe to me. For some weird reason, it just felt that way to me. So it really hit close to home for me, because I go there a lot. My wife and I, we go out there a lot. Friends and I, we go out there a lot. But anyway, I went to bed when it was 2 confirmed dead and 20 or so wounded. And then I woke up on Monday morning, and then I saw it was upwards of 50 deaths and 500 plus wounded. Then the total count came out, 59 total deaths, including the nut job that caused this chaos, which he doesn't count to me. So 58 victims that lost their lives tragically in that event in Vegas on Sunday night, and over 500, I believe 519 wounded, which is just absolutely horrible. And the thing that gets me, and I promise we'll talk about sports in just a second. I'm gonna wrap this up really quickly, but the thing that really gets me is that, I don't care about this dude. I don't care about his motives. I don't care about what made him tick. I don't care about the things that what led him to go this way. And I'm pretty sure soon enough, probably in a couple of years, like we do with all these nut jobs, these wackos out here, that we look at these documentaries, and someone will come out with a movie or a biopic or whatever it is for these guys. And the victims, we should be focusing on the victims. Who are these people? Who are these people that, unfortunately their friends and family no longer get to see again? That's what I want to focus on, is them. I don't care about this guy. I'm not even going to say his name. I don't care about this dude. I don't care about his life. I don't care about, if you got stuff going on, mental illness is a thing, okay? I get that. I understand that. But if you got something going on and you're out here and you're just trying to, make a statement and all that stuff, and you feel like you have no other choice but to go, I feel like you should go get help, okay? But if you feel like it's either taking out a bunch of innocent people and then yourself, just take yourself out. That's pathetic. I don't want to see no documentary on this dude. I don't want to see this dude's name. I don't care about his childhood and all this stuff, because then what happens is these documentaries, they use the victims as just pawns in the big story of these nut jobs that just get to go out there and get the glory and the fame and all that other stuff. It's full of crap. But anyway, And thoughts and prayers. I'm getting sick of that stuff because what is that really going to do? I mean, it's a good gesture and all that stuff, but I really wish something would be done. I tell my wife all the time I prefer to avoid large social gatherings if I can. But it's just crazy times out here. My wife was telling me, and I agree with her, that there was a time where, back when I was growing up as a kid, where you could let your kids go out and play. Let your kids go out and play. You say, hey, mom, dad, I'm going out to such and such house, or I'm going out to the playground, and I'll be back for dinner. It's like, all right, cool, but you can't do that anymore. You never know what's going to happen, and unfortunately, these things just keep happening. So, I mean, I wish the best for the family and friends that have to suffer through this. I think it's just absolutely tragic. I think it's horrible what is happening, but sports is a good outlet to be able to escape those things. So as best as I can, we'll go ahead and move forward to that and transition to that. So Minnesota Vikings. This is a Mediokr at Best podcast with Realistic Randy, big Minnesota Vikings fan, and I'm not going to say that the season's over with. I'm not going to say that, but it's looking pretty bad. Case Keenum, I'm not going to really rip him to shreds as much. He pretty much looked like who I expected him to be. He wasn't as bad as he was in that Steelers game, comparing to him to the Week 4 game against the Detroit Lions, which the Vikings lost 14-7. But he wasn't really that bad. I think there was just a lot of just stupid stuff going on. I mean, he at least could have gave you a shot to possibly win if Jerick McKinnon didn't drop a pass and if Kai Forbath can just make a freaking kick. I mean, what the hell is that about? It seems like our kicker's legs, and I said this on the sports reactions that I'll be doing on Mondays. Every Mondays I'll be doing that now as far as, part of the added content on here. By the way, you can subscribe on YouTube. You can visit Facebook.com/realisticrandy. You can follow me at Twitter at realistic_Randy. But I was just saying, hey, our kicker's legs have been on strike for the last 3 years, whether it's Kai Forbath or Blair Walsh or whoever. It seems like the most consistent kicker we had, the most reliable kicker that we've had, the last one that we've had was Ryan Longwell. He's no longer gone. We let him go, and then we got Blair Walsh, and then it's just been a spiral after that. And then you got a wildcat formation that they ran, I believe, to start the second half, where they got the ball back. They were up, I believe, 7-3. I believe at the end of the first half, and they came out in the second half and ran a freaking wildcat. First of all, why is the wildcat play even still a thing? Why is that even still there? It should not even be there. It's over. It's done. We were leading the game. There was no point in trying to get cute. There was 0 point in even doing that. Then we fumbled the ball a couple of times, and then Dalvin Cook. I mean, my God. We get our franchise running back. We finally move on from Adrian Peterson. And the thing that I like about Dalvin Cook, and we'll talk about his injury, and he's out for the year, which is just tragic. But the thing that I like about Dalvin Cook is that they compared him. I remember the scouting reports and everything like that before he got drafted. They compared him to Le'Veon Bell, saying that he's patient. He can line up as a receiver. He can catch out the backfield. He can pass protect. But he's very patient when he has to run the ball. And the difference between that, some people could say, well, Adrian Peterson was patient as well. There was a difference between him and Adrian Peterson is that Adrian Peterson, when he gets the ball, he's trying to dance in the backfield and then find that open hole to shoot the gap and go for the home run play. It's like what Reggie Bush used to, some of the criticism he had in his career. He's trying to dance around and try that open hole. He wasn't really a between the tackles running back. His most weaponized form or his most talented gift was to catch out of the backfield. But the thing that Adrian Peterson did was he would just dance in the backfield and try to just find an open hole and go for the home run play. And like Andrew Kramer said time and time again, is that Adrian Peterson, what you get from him is famine, feast. You get a 1 yard play here, a 3 yard play here, minus 2 yard, a 2 yard loss here, and then you get a 60-yard run, and then all of a sudden his yards per carry is about 5 yards per carry. You're like, oh, this is great, but that doesn't really tell the whole true story of his game. Le'Veon Bell, he's patient. He gets the ball, but he's still moving vertical. He's not dancing around, stutter stepping, and then trying to figure everything out. He's taking what he can get, but very patient at it. And then if a hole opens up, then all right, we're good. We're gravy. Then he's an every down back. He can catch out the backfield. He can pass protect. He can line up as a receiver. All those things. I was like, man, this dude is making a case to possibly being Rookie of the Year along with Deshaun Watson, who, by the way, the reason, if you guys paid attention, I made a video, and we'll get back on track with the Vikings real quick, but sidetrack. I made a video on draft night when the Chicago Bears traded up to get Mitch Trubisky, right? Or Mitchell Trubisky, however it is he wants to call himself now. Mitch Trubisky, they traded up to go get him. Deshaun Watson, I would say, I'm not even a college football guy, but I watched enough games to know, I was like, man, Deshaun Watson, he should be the first quarterback taken in the draft. I'm not going to argue against Myles Garrett. I didn't watch enough Texas A&M games, especially without Johnny Manziel there. When Johnny Manziel was there, I was like, all right, cool. But now he was no longer there. So I was like, whatever. So I'm not going to argue against Myles Garrett being number one pick. But as far as the first quarterback that should have been taken, it should have been Deshaun Watson. And Mitch Trubisky, he had what? 9 starts or 10 starts, whatever it is. He didn't have that many starts, and I'm just like, you're going to trade up and give up a king's ransom for Mitch Trubisky, who, by the way, is making his first start on Monday night against the Minnesota Vikings. And I get it. The Minnesota Vikings, their season is falling apart right now as we speak. Who knows? We could pick it up. But I wouldn't suggest putting Mitch Trubisky, his first NFL start, against the Minnesota Vikings defense. I do expect the Vikings to win that game, but I thought Deshaun Watson should have been first quarterback in the draft. But that's neither here nor there. He'll probably end up being Rookie of the Year. Maybe him or Kareem Hunt. We'll just have to see. But unfortunately now, Dalvin Cook, he's out for the year. And that's just so Vikings-like. All the things that just happened in that game. Our franchise running back for the future, he's out for the year with a torn ACL. Kai Forbath is missing kicks, fumbling the ball. Jerick McKinnon calling a wildcat play was just absolutely inexcusable. Trying to get cute when we already had the lead. We were already making progress. There was no reason to get cute at that point. It should be phased out of the NFL at this point. It's already hard enough making sure you don't fumble the football, but when you're adding the wildcat or essentially a read option play without passing the ball, then you also got to worry about the extra element like Jerick McKinnon did, is when, okay, you hand the ball off to the running back or you think you're about to, and you're like, nah, let me pull it back at the last second. You run that extra risk of putting the football on the ground. That's exactly what happened. That was absolutely ridiculous, dropping passes left and right. This is just the absolute Vikings thing that I've seen. And you know what? There was a time in my day, as far as maybe 6 months ago, maybe a little less than a year ago, where I would yell, I would just get upset. That Vikings game, Thanksgiving last year against the Detroit Lions, in which the Vikings lost after an illegal formation by Cordero Patterson, and then Sam Bradford turned the ball over, and I just lost my marbles after that. There was a time when I would do that, but it's like I can't even be mad anymore. I can't even be upset because this is just what the Vikings do. I expect this to happen. Whenever you start to feel good and just as a Vikings fan say, man, this is starting to turn out okay, maybe we have a chance, and then something happens, it's like I can't be mad anymore. So if this goes down the toilet, if this season goes down the toilet, I've been very consistent in this, Rick Spielman should be fired. He should absolutely be fired because a couple of things. He held on to players, his draft picks that he was just so confident about. And it's not even the fact that you make these draft picks and you make a mistake. Everyone's going to make mistakes. It's the fact that he held on to those players for dear life, specifically Christian Ponder, Christian Ponder and these other two guys I'm about to make. Actually, there's a third guy I'm about to add on there as well, so 4 total guys. But Christian Ponder, he was a bum. He was a bad quarterback. Rick Spielman held on to him for dear life, and you know it's tragic. I couldn't stand Christian Ponder because he just wasn't a good quarterback, but it wasn't anything more than that because whenever he would get asked about it, he would say, you know, hey, I got to work on this. He would never project the blame to someone else. He would never look for, you know, external resources to put the blame towards. So I was like, all right, he just wasn't a good player. But then you go to Blair Walsh and Matt Khalil who were just complete bums, as equal as bums as Christian Ponder was. But the thing about them is they would project blame elsewhere. Blair Walsh would lash out. That's why I called him soft and weak. And you see what he's doing in Seattle. Yeah, he's missing kicks every once in a while. And then whenever he does that, Twitter gets on him. Everyone gets on him. Say, hey, I'm telling you, Blair Walsh will let you down, Seattle. I'm just telling you right now. But he's no longer our problem. And I thought he's gone. All is well and good. But now we got Kai Forbath, and he's doing the same exact thing. So now it's just, I can't even get mad anymore. And then Matt Khalil. Dude, he get criticized, and he's flipping fans' hats over out when he exits the stadium. And then he goes to Carolina. He's like, oh, this coaching staff, this offensive line coach, he's demanding excellence. And that's the first time that I've ever had that. Really? And you see what he's doing? Matt Khalil is in mid-season form right now in Carolina. He is absolute garbage out there. But anyway, Rick Spielman would hold on to those players for dear life, even though it was clear that they weren't that good. And then you go out of your way to draft Laquan Treadwell last year in the first round. We didn't need receivers. For what? For what? Why did you go out there and get him? Look, Stephon Diggs was taken in the 5th round? You can find receivers anywhere. Now, unless it's like a Julio Jones type of talent or something like that where he's got speed and route running and everything right and jumping, leaping abilities, verticals, all that good other stuff, okay, fine. But Laquan Treadwell, he was never known as being a fast guy. And I get he had the ACL tear a couple of years ago when he was at Ole Miss, but he's been a complete bust. He's been a complete bust. He's ignored the O-line Rick Spielman has. He held on to players for dear life. We haven't won a playoff game under his watch. And the thing is, he's a good GM when he's not trying to let his ego get in the way. But when he tries to get cute out there, like the coaching staff calling a wildcat play for no reason, then all bleeps hit the fan after that. I think he should absolutely be fired if this doesn't work out. But for people saying that, oh, maybe we should look at Mike Zimmer too, I think we should pump the brakes right there. Mike Zimmer is a great head coach. Now, he's made a couple of blunders, no doubt about it, as far as time management skills and everything like that. But let's put this in perspective. I get that we're upset because we have, look, and the thing that makes me really upset, let me go back to Rick Spielman real quick. You ignored the O-line, held on to these players for dear life. In the meantime, you're wasting away this defense that we have. We have a defense that is in the prime of the years, or in the case of Daniil Hunter, tapping into the prime of his years. We're wasting away these years of the defensive players' prime. I just don't understand that. And the fact that we have the best, arguably the best defense in the league, is all because of Mike Zimmer. I get we've had players and everything like that, but Mike Zimmer is the reason why this defense is what it is right now, one of the best defenses in the league. You remember before Mike Zimmer got here, we were always known as a run-stopping defense, especially with the Williams wall. I know they haven't been here for a while, but we never had that pass defense. We have the pass defense and arguably a pretty good to above average run-stopping defense as well. Mike Zimmer is the reason because of that. If you're saying fire Mike Zimmer after this, and look, I say give him a GM that's going to be take all objectivity into account, take all of his personal beliefs and his ego, let that go to the side, give him a GM that's going to do that, then we can judge him. You got to remember, Xavier Rhodes, in my opinion, is the best cornerback in football. The best corner, a legitimate, bona fide, shut-down cornerback, all right? And that's all, not necessarily all, but a large portion of that is because of Mike Zimmer. If you remember, Xavier Rhodes, he was pretty good before Mike Zimmer got there. He was pretty good. Like, oh man, he's a big corner, strong, and everything like that. He's a little bit handsy. And then Mike Zimmer got here, and you remember they were doing the boxing gloves training where he was trying to keep Xavier Rhodes from pulling receivers and getting pass interference and defensive holding calls. I believe that Mike Zimmer, who specifically worked with Xavier Rhodes, is the reason why Xavier Rhodes, at least for a large portion, why Xavier Rhodes is the best cornerback in football, in my opinion. So we'll just have to see how the rest of the season goes. Next week, we're going against the Chicago Bears in Chicago. We haven't won there in quite some time, so we'll just have to see about that. But I'm not going to necessarily hit the panic button right now. I'm going to say if this season goes in the toilet, Rick Spielman should be fired. But I'd like to know what you guys think about this. Latavius Murray, I'm not going to be concerned about him saying, and for the people that saying, should we trade for Adrian Peterson back? Get the hell somewhere. I don't want to hear none of that garbage. Adrian Peterson? Really? What, so we can bring him back out there or first and second down that everyone knows it's a running play? Or are we trying to play action that we've been trying to do with him forever to open up the passing game, and all he does is become a liability because he can't block at all? We let him go. I don't want to hear nothing about trade for Adrian Peterson back. So we'll just have to see. But Latavius Murray and Jerick McKinnon, as far as the running back by committee, I think as a committee, they could be okay. I still like Jerick McKinnon. He had a pretty horrible game against the Detroit Lions. I'm not going to necessarily count him out. I think he's still a pretty good running back. But Latavius Murray and Jerick McKinnon together may be okay. But if we're trying to rely on just Latavius Murray, who doesn't look like he's fully healthy. And by the way, with the Oakland Raiders, when he was with them the last 2 years, the Oakland Raiders have had arguably the best offensive line in football them and the Dallas Cowboys, Latavius Murray averaged 4 yards a carry with them. So if we're just trying to rely heavily on him and then bring Jerick McKinnon on third downs once in a while, I think that's not going to work. But if you keep the split, the reps even, the reps split even between the two, I think it could be okay. As long as we got Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, I think we have a shot. But Sam Bradford needs to come back. And if he doesn't come back, then we are absolutely screwed. So up next, we're going to talk the NBA All-Star formats are changing. We'll talk about what that means. I know a lot of people are teeing off about that. They're upset. Stephen A. Smith is mad about it. A lot of other people are saying, this is outrageous. You should keep it East versus West. We'll talk about that and my early predictions for the NBA Awards. This is the Mediokr Best Podcast with realistic ratings.
We kick it back, let's all just say it's gonna be
Yo,
a good day.
we've been grinding, not caring what the time is. When I'm in my town, I'm only chilling with the finest. I've been out here trying to kick it for